And that was so fucking dumb. I actually wanted to have the Shutter Island thing covered.
Oh, you didn't? What a noob.
No, I didn't. Well, we're not going to repeat the whole thing, I'm afraid.
Oh. Do it next time.
Do it next time. All right, hello there, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm Majmoura.
And I'm the Viper.
And this is episode 25 of the Town Center, your podcast dedicated to all things Age of Empires. In today's show, if you're a regular listener of the Town Center podcast, it came as no shock to you that a new esports team has announced itself in our community. But some of the players who signed to that team seem to indeed have caught some folks by surprise. But it really feels like we're going through a winter transfer window in the Age of Empires 2 community. There's a lot of players have been leaving some teams and joining others. And of course, we're going to update you on all of that and more. Later in the show, Gideon, that's the lead organizer for the big upcoming LAN tournament in Hamburg, the Garrison, joins us to talk about the event and why they decided to get involved in our community. If you enjoy our show, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and all those things. And I thank you very much for that. All right, Orion. Onimaru Esports. Hello. What's up?
Hello.
we were talking about our movie tastes, and we actually agreed that there's one movie that we both love.
We agreed that DiCaprio is handsome. Oh yeah,
we also agreed that DiCaprio is a pretty handsome young man, indeed. Did you see Barles' reaction to the Onimaru
I saw the video,
Esports?
and it was it's just a 8-9 second clip, but it kind of captures everything perfectly. It's such a random team, isn't it?
Well, it depends what do you mean by red, but yes. I guess a couple of names in there surprised a couple of people. So let's just get the basic facts to the people. On January 20th, Onimaru Esports announced their first player, freaking Andy, and that was then followed by the announcement of Fire, Goku, Liereyy, and Lewis just a couple of days ago. Yeah, so first thoughts.
We have to explain what the Barles video was first. I don't remember the name of the guy, but the editor in the Spider-Man with Tobey Maguire, when he's doing the laugh, it's a very common meme, and then it goes like, seriously? At the end. That's essentially what Barles posted. Just that clip with the new team and the guy laughing. Yeah, so first thoughts is obviously great. Another team on the scene. Awesome. That's great for everyone. Great for the scene as a whole. Second thought is like, wow, what a weird mixture of players, right? I think Andy and Liereyy together is not massively surprising. They're both from Austria, so they've teamed together for Nations Cup and such. But then you have Fire and Goku, which is like, none of them have really delivered the last couple of years. Fire obviously was part of Tyrant back in the day, so he has obviously had been at a very high level before, but recently not delivering as much. Goku, honestly, I haven't seen him play much last probably 7-8 years, so I don't know what his level is right now. And then Lewis at the end, right? It's just a weird combination of players, but obviously like a lot of them are talented. Like Andy has established himself as a good player. Liereyy obviously is Liereyy, and then Lewis is an up-and-comer. Currently best at tweeting, but he can probably become good at the game as well at some point. But if they get guidance from Liereyy and Liereyy actually intensely trains with them, there's a lot of potential for all of them to grow there. I'm not sure it's the intention. Like, I would love to talk to the guy who created it, right? What is the intention here? Are you going to compete for team game events, or is it just like get a group of players together to do 1v1s? I don't know. It's fun either way. I'm excited to see where that goes.
Yeah, I'd have to assume heavily that playing in team game tournaments is not a priority because, otherwise you wouldn't have someone who's so much better than everybody else, as in the case of Liereyy, right? So you have Liereyy being so much better than everybody else kind of puts that out of the picture, I would guess. The first thing that surprised me right from the get-go, so the guy, by the way, the sponsor, so this is one sponsor, one guy who's sponsoring the whole thing, so kind of like the Tyrant sponsor back in the day. A very wealthy individual, apparently. I'd have to heavily assume not as wealthy as the mythical Tyrant sponsor, if I'm not mistaken.
I will be impressed.
Yeah, well, what did you say? He owned like 3 palaces. No. This is public. I don't know anything about. I wish I knew something about this one. I know nothing about the Tyrant sponsor. In any case, he's a Japanese Brazilian. That's what I was able to gather. And the biggest surprise for me, Orion, was that Dogão was not included in it. If you want to have like a Brazilian core in the team, which feels to me is the goal here with Fire and Goku, I would have expected to see Dogão. So to me, this was the first surprise, I guess.
But Dogão has another team, right? He's probably contractually obliged to another team. So maybe if he was under consideration, maybe he just wasn't available. And
Fun fact. I just noticed this today, so I couldn't follow up on the information. But the team he's part of, Dogan, so that's Fellowship Gaming.
Yeah.
The guy who founded that team, that's Nego Drama, I believe it's his name. So he's like
it's the same guy.
Right, he's like a video editor, and he's made a couple of videos for Gamer Legion. I think he works with Hera and Tado too, if I'm not mistaken. And he left for Onimaru Esports. So that confused me a little bit more. Again, I just thought about this today, and I went ahead and checked it. So I don't know if there's like any sort of drama.
Maybe
there
he didn't like
anything.
Togao, so he left.
Okay. I don't know. I don't know, but that's the first thing that jumped.
Did you say that he created Fellowship as well?
I think he was the founder of Fellowship, and Fellowship is the team with Dogon and Miguel.
Oh yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
he was.
Man,
but he left.
Do I need to prove myself to you?
He left in September last year, so it's been a while.
Ooh, so
it says leave date 1st of September 2024.
Okay, so indeed that information I did not gather. So thank you.
Do your research. Hello.
I did too, but again, I did it today, so I didn't have the time to confront people with this. So I don't know if there's any sort of drama there.
Okay,
in any case, yeah. And you talked about F1re. I think that's funny too, because indeed F1re. When was it, Viper? Was it like before the E for sure? I remember liking
14, 15.
But even later, I think, in the Wololo Kiddings times. Again, a lot of folks are not going to remember this.
In 2016, he was still part of our team when he went to China.
But even, I think NEC too. F1re participated in NEC too. I don't know, NEC, I think 10 players, so he was in the top, I don't know if it's 10 players actually.
He was 8 maybe?
8 maybe, so he was in the top 8 at that time.
Yeah,
and that was 2019, right?
Yeah, he had multiple performances where, I think the one he got into NEC was because another guy couldn't make it. It was Vivi, maybe?
Oh, was it? Okay.
I think, and then he was the next guy in line because there was a visa complication or something. I don't remember. I could be completely wrong here.
No, but anyway, he probably was in the latest stages of the qualifiers or something.
F1re, for a solid period of like 4 or 5 years, he was a top 16 regular in tournaments.
Right. All the time. I guess you would say Hearttt would have been better than him, but even though Hearttt, I don't think was around when NAC2 was there. So, by the way, funny thing, I saw someone say the scheduling is going to be
God. I don't want to face that team ever. I promise. I don't even want to schedule a show match with them. No.
Listen, folks don't remember this, but scheduling topics between players used to be public. You used to be able to see. You used to be able to see how people schedule with each other, and F1re developed a little bit of a reputation.
That was the fun part about AoE Zone. You could always check in and see how everyone's scheduled.
Everybody's scheduling. Apparently, is Liereyy a bit of a nightmare scheduling too? Because this one guy said that Liereyy and F1re in the same team would make it hard.
I normally have not had issues scheduling with Liereyy, but I tend to be quite flexible, so I never really have issues scheduling. But I'm sure others have had issues, and I've heard as well what you said. Like people mentioned that Liereyy and F1re in the same team could be a nightmare. So
again,
I don't know how. Yeah,
I'm just saying what I read.
Guys,
I'm just saying what I read. I don't want to put words in my own mouth. Funny story, by the way. Just remember it. Thinking about F1re brings a lot of memories. I gotta say, I remember all too well the first time I saw F1re. You want to know when this was? Masters of Arabia 2013 2v2.
Oh, so you saw him online? You mean?
Yeah. I did see him in person. Yeah. I think you won that tournament with Jordan. Does it ring a bell? Did it ring a bell?
I think so, yeah.
2013.
We won it in the final against ACCM and Bakti.
Man, I didn't know that, but the part that I know is that I was watching a game. So it was Dreams and Doubt on the same team. I think it was Tyrant Z or whatever I think it was. And by the way, Dreams was one of the only guys streaming back in the day. Now there was nobody else streaming, I think. And he was playing with Doubt. Of course, no voice chat. Did you guys play with voice chat in 2013? I think voice chat was common. But
me and Jordan had voice chat.
TeamSpeak probably, or whatever
TeamSpeak
it was.
Was the common thing back then, yeah.
Yeah, so Dreams and Doubt, no TeamSpeak, no nothing. Doubt didn't say a single word. Not before the games, nothing. And I think they lost 3-0 against F1re and Goku. I think it was F1re and Goku, almost sure.
Could be, yeah.
And every single game, at some point, Dreams is like, Doubt, is everything okay? No. Every single game. And I know Dreams is not the type of guy who, with a certain restraint, if he feels something, he's going to say it. You know how Dreams was. This fucking guy doesn't say a word. Man, great times.
Doubt didn't actually want Dreams into Tyrant, so maybe there was something there as
well.
Ooh,
what? Tell me more.
Oh, this is a podcast, juicy information. No, it's just that we wanted another player for training and in the team, right? And we were bringing up Dreams as an option. Doubt just thought there would be better options. It was nothing. I don't think it was anything worse than that.
Oh,
I could be wrong, but
I mean, that certainly explains a couple of things at least. Lewis, what do you make of Lewis, man? I'm proud. Not proud is the wrong word, but I'm happy. I don't think there's ever been a player that I've been able to witness his, development for such a close point of view as I was in this case, because he used to play a lot of the Black Forest games with Sabi, what was it, like 2 years ago or something. He was always involved in those games. And so I remember I remember these days when he was like 1,500, 1,600, pretty much the same as Savvy. And then at some point, the guy just explodes.
Now it's 1,800?
Yeah, well, dude, almost 2K9. Almost 2K9 it made it, I think.
Ladder elo, though.
Still, of course, we're still waiting for the tournament performances, for sure. But, as one of the most talented players ever in our game, hurts to say, but... Do you see the je ne sais quoi, the X factor in
How old
Lewis?
is Lewis now? How old is he?
I would say 22 or something. I can look it up. I would say 22, 23 maybe.
Yeah. So I haven't seen him play too much. I've played maybe 15 ladder games against him in my career.
22.
And 3 tournament games. Yeah. He's obviously a good player, talented player. He's dedicating a lot of time into the game as well. So, and now, especially now that he might have the opportunity to train with Liereyy consistently and freaking Andy, I think especially training with freaking Andy is going to help him a lot with his strategy, with like the depth of his strategic options. I think Liereyy is he's more of a guy trying to emulate Liereyy Hera style, I feel like. So he's more in that mold. So Andy's probably a more valuable teammate than Liereyy.
Wait, you said Liereyy you meant Lewis. Yeah, Lewis is more
Lewis
like...
is emulating Liereyy Hera style,
Liereyy
and Hera style is what I feel like. So he's trying to play more... Well, every time I play him, I only play against Cowards, I feel like, so I don't know. But he's a good player, talented player, with the dedication and motivation to get better. So yeah, I mean, there's a big chance he could climb over time, right? He has yet to show something in like a proper big tournament, but I think he has been close in a couple of qualifiers for some of the bigger events. So also I think he's doing pretty good in TTL Gold now.
Gold League. He's doing fine, yeah. He's doing decently. I think second in the group right now.
Yeah. So I think he 3-0'd Ganji. I was casting it the other day.
He did, yeah.
Yeah. So that's a solid result. So I mean, like I said, with the new team, maybe that's the next spark up his butt to take the next step. So
and 3-0 against Say My Name, if I'm not mistaken.
That's
Say My Name, another old school name. Yeah. So I remember one of his first strategies that he mastered was going Teuton's Tower Rush on Hideout. He would ban everything, and he managed to even beat Survivalist. I remember him bragging about it and didn't shut up about it for I don't know how long. He beat Survivalist with a Teuton Tower Rush on Hideout, and apparently nobody could stop. I mean, of course, somebody could stop him. And you hear a lot of people say things like, "Oh, these one-trick ponies," but these people who go up in yellow a lot with one specific strategy, I still respect him a lot because it takes a lot of mechanical skill and of execution to still be able to beat people who in theory are a lot better than you. And I think he definitely has got this, just the talent for being mechanically fast and mechanically precise, which at the very least he's got that, right?
Yeah, just look at Huang. He played only 60,000 games with Celts and he mastered the Huang Rush. So it's obviously possible for everyone.
Didn't help him too much, but yeah.
No, I like one-trick ponies is like people clown on the clowns, right, for being arena clowns. And when they play Arabia, they like turn Arabia into arena and still play arena clown strategies. It's what they mastered and what they're good at, right? And if you suddenly throw these Arabia noobs into arena, in the past, it would be like arena clowns would win every time. I think most Arabia players now are a lot more well-rounded, so it's not they are a lot better on close maps like arena, etc. But yeah, like you said, it takes a lot of time, dedication to even master a single strategy like that to the point where you can beat top players, right? So yeah, it definitely deserves respect.
Yeah, to be able to punch above your weight. So I think, and he plays a lot, which you have to do. You do have to do. You just have to grind the shit out of the game.
That's whenever people ask me like, how can they improve? I'm saying like, unless you have time, dedication, or like unless you have the free time to be able to dedicate a lot of your time to grind the game and the motivation to do so, coaching and such is not going to help you. Sure, it will help you a little bit to maybe like improve on small things, but if you don't have the time, which is why I'm saying as well, like, let's use Doubt and not myself as an example here. When you get older, it's not that you get slower by default. It's that you get more responsibilities in life that takes away time for other things. And I think when you're young and you have the time to do things, it doesn't matter if you're 20, 30, 40, as long as you have the time and the dedication to be able to apply yourself to the game, then I don't think age is a hindrance for anyone.
And I just think you're much more likely to have this insane drive to just do something over and over and over again. Right? I think that's something that you'll lose the older you get. At least I notice it in myself. I remember, so I'm a professional pianist, as some folks are going to know. I mean, I remember spending nights and nights before a concert or before a competition just playing the whole fucking night because this one passage just didn't work the way I wanted it to. I would never do that today. We're like, it doesn't work. Who cares? Nobody's going to listen anywhere, So I feel like this drive to just do something over and over again is something that you do lose with age. Some people, of course, not.
It's not only age; it's also accomplishment, right? When I was first up and coming, I was hunting out Chris, these guys every day. If I saw them host a game on Woobly, I was there. I was joining. I was ready, right? This day, I could never imagine myself ever like spending time waiting and looking for people these days, right?
What's so sad, because you weren't streaming back then. Nobody was streaming back then, so we did really see that. And that was actually wonderful. So you did play, you did have a phase where you were just grind it over and over. Okay, yeah.
I probably spent like 40 hours a week for a solid couple of months where I took my biggest jump. Yeah,
crazy. But yeah, none of us got to see that, I think, as you would do these days, with all the streams and all that.
You could obviously spectate on such on Google back in the day. You could see that people were playing, right? So people, if anyone sits there and watch, not spectate, but like you could see that I was in a lobby with someone, right? You could see that I was playing.
Right. That's true.
Spectating and such, everything came later, obviously.
Much later, much later. If you wanted to cast a game back in the day, you had to co-op with somebody. You're not going to remember this. I don't know why I'm having so many memories this episode. You're not going to remember this. Your first student, you know who your first student was?
It was you, I remember.
You remember that?
Of course.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. I didn't think you were going to remember. Well, this must have been 2012, 2013.
You were my first student, and then I shut down the program.
I don't know what to feel about that, bro. I'm not sure how to feel about that.
It wasn't your fault, dude. I just felt like this is probably not something I want to spend my time on, because like I think it was a solid session, like all things considered.
I enjoyed it. I remember you telling me, this is nothing against you, maybe you're different now. I remember you telling me a lot of things that I felt would only help me if I already knew a lot of the basics that I didn't know. So you were like, make your lumber camps, refresh your lumber camps a little bit earlier. Watch out for the bumping in the vills. Sure, that helps, but I was like 1600 back then, which would have been what's that now? 1400 maybe on DE.
I think back then I was also way more like micro-oriented rather than macro-oriented when it comes to coaching as well, right? If I was to coach today, I would never mention, watch out for the bumping in the wood villagers, right? I would never, ever mention that.
Right.
It would be way more on a macro level.
Absolutely. Dude, consider. Yeah, because I think that's a lot of the mistakes that not that I got any coaching from anybody else, but I see a lot of people focusing on stuff that, yes, of course they're going to help you if you do those things, but it's not what's holding you back. That's the feeling that I get a lot of the times.
I've also seen coaching in the form of you playing and someone watching you, and they just now send forwards there, now build the barracks, build an arch range. Like there's no generating of the understanding of why are we doing this, why is this happening. That's where the coaching has to go. It's like make people understand why the reasons for these things are, not just like, oh, I'm supposed to do this and do this, okay, but then every game is different. Suddenly like next game, oh, what I did now doesn't make sense, but you have that like, oh, I'm supposed to do this and this, but in this case it's actually wrong. So but that's the thing, people need to, when they coach, make people understand why things are happening, and rather instead of just doing it or copy. Like it's also when I say like, don't just copy me what I'm doing when I'm playing, right? I'm the worst example to copy anyway, because I do stupid shit no matter what. But like, the most important thing is to understand the reasoning behind things.
To be fair, I'm sure a lot of people are doing that too. Just to be fair.
I'm just saying, I've seen a couple of examples. But I'm sure there's so many good coaches out there as well at this point.
Did you? It's funny. You closed the program after me. It's funny. I remember how much I paid you. I remember how much I paid you. $50.
$50. Yeah.
Pretty sure it was $50. That was your price back then. If you were to restart your program.
Did I ask you to pay them beforehand, or was it after?
I think you asked me before. Yes.
Yeah, because I didn't trust you. It makes sense.
Obviously, you didn't know. You had no fucking clue.
No, but that was also like I don't think I could justify spending that time to coach people if I don't have the payment up front. Okay. Because people can be a bit shady online.
Even more before, I have the feeling.
Yeah.
But cool. And I say this,
money, bro.
But I say this, man. Why did I even start talking about it? It was because we were talking about the co-op, and I remember that after the training session, you went to play a couple of team games, and I'd ask you if I could watch it, and you were nice. We we kind of understood each other. He's like, yeah, sure, come around. And then I co-opted with you while you were playing, I don't know, against
Did you click something?
I didn't click. Dude, you're crazy. The best player in the world lets me play with him co-op. You think I'm going to even breathe next to your units? Absolutely not.
Doubt used to get so mad in the past because when like that was the only way to watch a game, right? And me and Jordan were like this close. We wanted to watch and train all the time. So whenever we played against Doubt, we always wanted to co-op, and Doubt was so mad all the time.
I'm mad at that.
Yeah.
And people used to lag, right? So you would lag. Sometimes people complain about that.
That could also happen, yeah.
That doesn't happen anymore. Tiny little thing that I want to say about this before we move on. About this, now I mean the Onimaru Esports.
Mm-hmm.
Surprised that Hearttt did not join Liereyy in the same team?
Yes and no.
I'm not sure if this is the case. Again, sources,
Drama incoming.
No drama. So the thing is, when Liereyy and Hearttt quit Wii Sports, when Wii Sports let him go, they already had a couple of the players signed. So Onimaru already had a couple of players signed. Mm-hmm. And that means they didn't have the budget, I think that's what I hear, to get 2 players.
Okay.
So they decided to take Liereyy and not Hearttt. Because I was surprised at first. They had been such good teammates with such good results on Wii Sports as well. But apparently that's why.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Now you know. Yeah, but just as you said, just as Liereyy was joining Onimaru, his former teammate Hearttt decided to join the team Wonders. This actually happened almost 2 weeks ago, but I feel like a lot of folks didn't really take notice of it, myself included. And the Wonders team is basically an Argentinian team. Currently, they have Kapach, Nikov, Monos, Lucho, Prisma, and Hearttt. And, it kind of feels to me like Hearttt is a much better fit here than Liereyy probably in the other team. Same time zone, same language. How do you see things?
Yeah, no, it makes sense, right? They speak the same language as you said, so communication is a lot easier. Time zone training is easier, and yeah, he's also he's probably joining that team as the best player as well. But he still has people at the same level like Nico, Kapach. These guys will be great training partners for him as well. So, and also I think Prisma, Lucho, these are up and comers that are doing very well these days. So that is a very strong team. That
I wanted to say, dude, team games with this team, crazy.
Yeah. And especially, I think Nikov in particular is a really good strategist as well for team games. So I think if team games come around, if there's a big team game tournament at some point in our lives, those two will definitely be a team to look out for.
Mm-hmm. We know that the 2v2 cartographers, at the very least, is coming. So I talked a little bit with the sponsor of the team. That's Baxter. He's 1K6 trying to get to 2K. So it's someone who loves to play the game. And players do get a salary. Or if I quote, he said, most players receive an incentive money-wise. Mm-hmm. Great. Obviously great. Especially for Hearttt. He had such a big development when he was on Wii Sports. Now I feel like he can justify, to keep doing that and hopefully improve even more. Yep. Now I have to think about Savvy because I told you that you remember the story I told you about Savvy, right? That he made it to 1700. Yeah. So do you know the second chapter? Because
wasn't it that he wanted to get 2K and then he just fell on his face, completely failed?
Well, he disappeared before the bet was complete. The bet was like $1,500 or something. Then
what?
Yes. He disappeared like 2 months before the bet was finished. It was supposed to be until the end of the year.
But he showed up and paid his debts, right?
He showed up on the 1st of January, paid the $2,000 and disappeared again. And
how much did he make when he reached 1,700?
Close to it, I think. So
okay,
I don't think
he evened out. Okay.
And he invested. He did tell me he didn't spend the money the first time around, so he sort of invested the money for the next time.
Good.
But yeah, I was reminded of this because the sponsor is also this Baxter, so the guy who sponsors the Team Wonders. He's also 1K6, also trying to make it to 2K. So I got Savvy flashbacks in my mind. Cool. Then that's not all in terms of transfers.
Yeah.
Slam is back.
Teammate. Man, Slam is back. All the Tyrant guys are jumping around.
Yeah, so why don't you talk a little? So that was on January 26th. My Insanity announced that Slam would be joining their ranks, and at the same time, Anatov would be leaving. So yeah, what do you make of that? I mean, I don't even know why Slam left GL. I heard things about time zones and difficulty training and all of that, but
I don't know. I mean, Slam obviously an amazing player, especially when he puts the time and effort in. Like obviously Slam as well has not been as active as before, and he hasn't delivered the results as he sometimes did before. But Slam is one of those guys with an incredibly high ceiling. So if he finds the time, dedication to put in the work, which maybe now with My Insanity they will also give him more time to put more effort into the game. Who knows? Maybe Slam will be back on the monitor for like top 16 performances again. Let's hope so, because I mean Slam, awesome guy, super nice guy, and just wish him all the best. So hopefully My Insanity is a great chapter for him.
He was at Red Bull 5. I have this very clear. I think it's one of Dave's emotes on his Twitch chat, on his Twitch channel. There's this guy, I'm pretty sure that was in Red Bull 5, man. It's because I think Slam was coaching Dave. Wasn't there like a show match between Dave and was it T90? And then they had coaches.
I don't remember.
And I think for Dave, Slam was the coach, and he had these sunglasses on. He had the shades on, and one time he just goes like that. And I think that became one of the emotes from Dave's channel. Yeah, great guy. Again, have fond memories of him playing Arabia Han Wars against Hassan back in the day.
And me and Jordan used to play 2v2s against Slam and Hassan all the time.
Awesome.
It was a really good time.
Yeah, and I think it's a really fun stream. You know, Slam is not the guy who's very extravagant or anything. You know, he's very, I don't want to say he's shy, but, you know, he's a very calm guy. He's, you know, he doesn't take things too far most of the time. He's cautious. Hey, by the way, you know what he does for a living? Because I've heard 1,000 people ask him, he never really gives a serious answer. I
know what he did when I was his teammate. I don't know what he's doing right now.
He said he worked in e-commerce. I think that's what he
passed.
Okay, so that's it. Okay.
I don't know if he did it like during GL times as well, but I know like back in Tyrant around that time he was doing that as well.
Okay.
I know he was also delivering pizzas a long time ago. Again, I don't know what he's doing. Has done like the last 7-8 years or 6 years, 5-6 years.
Mm-hmm. In any case, awesome that he's back. Very, very glad to hear.
And he was never gone, right? But now like the door is maybe open for him to invest even more time.
To be more for sure. Yeah. Well, I kind of feel like it was a little bit gone, wasn't he? I guess he kept playing a little bit of Black Forest, but not really
in the
streaming.
Rage now and then.
Yeah, not really streaming though. So yeah,
I think a lot of people miss the streams. I think there was a time zone where a lot of people used to watch and enjoy.
I mean, I work in the afternoons most of the times. Yeah. I mean, I do my Gamer Legion stuff in the morning, so that's most of the times when I watch the stream is in the morning. So that's why I used to watch Savvy, Slam, all of those guys. And now Lewis, he also streams in the morning most of the time. In any case, you know, Anatov is not without a team. Him, El Matador, El Matador
Nocturna.
Are running. Yes, Target, Philip, HGS are all joining the Nocturna Esports team. They're not actually a new team. That's the old Laka clan. I know it's Lacha, I don't know, Laka clan. So they're like a German team. Now they have even more and more German names. I think they only have an Austrian guy, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know.
Winchester, yeah.
Winchester?
Wien Dinchester.
Wien. Okay, yeah. So it's a pretty
play on the guy from Supernatural, Dean Winchester, I would imagine.
Is that a TV show or something?
It's a TV show.
Okay.
You wouldn't know.
Yeah, not aware. Too modern for me, I think. In any case, speaking of this, I mentioned this team especially because throughout the month of February, this team, Nocturna Esports, they'll be organizing a charity event. And there's going to be, I believe, like 15 show matches between France and Germany with all sorts of different settings. I believe that's going to be 2v2, 3v3, 4v4s. So I'm sure you're going to be seeing a lot of C-Toes. You're going to be seeing a lot of OGNs and a lot of those guys. I don't know. I heard that Gamer Legion's probably trying to get involved too.
I think there will be probably some coverage from GL as well, maybe with some of the players, yeah.
With the Viper too?
I'm not sure. The Viper is kind of busy these days, but if the door opens, I'm sure I'll be involved as well, but we'll see.
Okay, yeah. In any case, the organization they're collecting money for is the Deutsche, and this word, Knochenmarkspenderdatei. Deutsche Knochenmarkspenderdatei. So they're basically like a global database with potential bone marrow and stem cell donors, for all sorts of blood diseases, and they kind of help match patients and donors from all over the world. So very honorable cause. Again, I think Gamer Legion is going to be trying to promote the event. We're doing our part over here, and I'll make sure to drop the Wikipedia link for the whole event with all the information in the description box below. Unfortunately, Orion, my friend, it's not all good news when it comes to, the transfer window. What did you say? With the winter transfer window. That's what I wanted to say. My sources tell me that one of the big teams that is currently in the scene is going to be leaving in the next few days or weeks or whatever. And obviously, it's not my job to say which team it is, but I'm saying it only because if any of the teams that are currently active and want to stay active in the community are still looking for players, don't close your rosters because soon there's going to be free agents, very qualified free agents.
Which team would that be?
Well,
I don't know this.
Again, I absolutely love to tell everybody who that is, but it's going to be public sooner or later, so just so folks know. Okay, then, Titans League. You excited about this one? In the Platinum Division, it's still early days, but so far we have 2 sets, 2 losses for you, bro. What happened?
What?
You didn't know about that?
No, I'm trying to. My dream is to play against Doubt in Gold League. So since Doubt is very likely heading down, I felt like I wanted to join him in solidarity, and we'll have fun in Gold League. No, I mean, no, I don't think I played very good Age of Empires. So when you don't play good Age of Empires, you lose games. That's how it works.
Easy. I'm sure I'm not the first one to ask you this. But why don't you wall? Why don't you wall? I have this game. Was it Cross against Hearttt? I think it was Cross, wasn't it?
I did wall, just not around my town center.
Well, why didn't you wall before? Why'd you have to wait until things get, tricky?
Because I had units. I didn't need to wall. I wasn't supposed to wall. I wasn't supposed to be that much slower to Castle Age.
So that's your philosophy? If you have units, you don't have to make walls?
To a certain extent, yes.
What about if you have units and walls? What's sticky against that?
Yeah, but listen, if you make walls, that's costing probably like 40 wood and like 30 seconds idle villager time.
Right.
That could have been invested into another skirmisher or an archer. And then you have more units to defend your non-walled base. Stonks.
Isn't that riskier though?
Yes.
Okay. So you just feel like right now the risk reward, it's still in favor of not walling.
Like I said, if I'm playing better as well, I also have more default instinct regarding walling, right? I haven't played good Age of Empires so far in the TTL.
Yeah, but it just feels like it's something that doesn't require you to practice or anything. Just put down some walls, bro. It's like it doesn't require.
It's not that easy, man. Walling is like, I don't know. I have to look on the keyboard to find the hotkey.
All right. Fair enough. Yeah.
No, obviously I know I can wall more. It is what it is, right? I mean, I've been streaming the games as well with commentary. Like the attention isn't 100% there necessarily when you're streaming as well. So I think going forward, I will not stream my POV myself. I'll rather have someone else cover it on my behalf, and then hopefully my performance increases as well. Just to try and avoid to get like real talk. I don't want to be in gold without. Please, no, I don't want to.
Well, you could have convinced me before, huh?
But no, yeah, I'm going to try and step it up, and hopefully it will improve.
I heard a couple of complaints that people are seeing the same civs over and over again, and I think this is more from a viewer perspective, of course. How do you feel about that as a player?
Well, on most maps, there will be a couple of civs that stand out, right? And more often than not, a couple of those civs are also banned, which limits the options. Then again, I feel like on a lot of maps, there are a lot of, like Evacuation, for example, probably has like 12 different civs that are good. But yeah, on maps like Cross, and also when you have these maps with like water in the center,
it's going to be Persian,
Jungle Swamp, Persian, Lithuania, and these types of civs.
Japanese.
Because the uptime is so important. So yeah, you will see a lot of the same civs, but only way to avoid that would have been more bans and things like that. So it's blame the organizer.
Yeah, it doesn't bother me personally, but I understand the complaint. I think the reasoning behind this is that Tristan wants to reward people that really prepare a specific strategy.
Damn it.
What do you mean?
Oh, you have to prepare?
Yeah, you're supposed to prepare.
I'm joking.
Yeah, I think that's the reasoning behind it, and I love that reasoning because it's one of the things that I actually hate about the random bans. That you could actually spend a lot of time practicing a specific strategy that you think it's really good, and then boom, just because you're out of luck, you can't do it.
I mean, that can happen with selected bans as well, right? Because you more often not train with a good civ for a map. You're not going to train with, I'm going to train with Teutons today because it probably won't be banned, right? It's still a worse civ than probably 15 other civs on a specific map. So, I see what you mean, though. You want to reward time and preparation. I think it's also an issue with potentially the maps are somewhat similar in many regards, and you often see same maps played as well. Because I mean, like, there's a lot of not clowns in the tournament, so it's like the clowns want to pick fortify clearing a Zong, and maybe some weird water maps.
What's that map like again? The Zong.
It's like 5 relics in a line in the center, and you start in a wall base with 2 churches in the forest.
Right. And then you can make like a priest.
You can make priests in Dark Age
fewer
for
range.
75 gold.
Yeah, fewer range, but yeah, okay.
So yeah, like there are like the map drafts kind of are set beforehand. Like if I'm playing an arena clown, John Slow, I will know which map I will ban and I know which map he will pick, right? So, and there's only 3 maps, right? So a lot of times you will see same maps. Now keep in mind, there's like 4 groups with 3 matches every week. You're going to see a lot of games. There's a big chance to see similar maps multiple times. There's a big chance you'll see the same civs. I think it's also due to the how many matches are happening that people feel like they see same things.
Absolutely.
Often.
And I think one of the special things about the Titans League is that it really rewards players. It's really for the players. Feels to me like that's, Tristan's main goal with this. So I personally have no problem with it. And also the play all 3, it's very much a player thing, right?
I mean, you get $40 per win as well, right? Which is potentially very good money for a lot of players.
Right. I think it's hard to make a better, in my opinion, it's hard to make a better league format than this. You have play all 3, you know how much it's roughly going to take to play all the games, you can prepare for all 3 and all of that. I like it. So I don't know how things work in terms of drafting when it goes to the playoff stage or the knockout stage or whatever.
It's just like they add one more draft and then another pick or 2. One more ban.
So it's still no random bans or anything, because that's what I wanted to say. That's the part of the tournament where I would understand if you would go in that direction of making it a little bit more unpredictable of all that. But still the exact same pitfalls that we've discussed before, for sure.
I mean, I accidentally hosted a best of 5 draft when I was playing Hearttt.
I think I saw it, yes.
We drafted and it was just one more ban and then 2 more picks, I think. So
that's that's why I was beginning to wonder how the draft is going to be the playoff stage.
And prepare for that stage already, bro. Have you seen my group?
There you go. So things in the Gold League are already a lot further ahead, and looking at the groups, we have Lucho, Repard, Z40. That's a MBL teammate, right? Z40, if I'm not mistaken. On the tag team, Licks leading their respective groups. Thus in great position to reach platinum next season, though still a lot can still change, of course. Are you looking at someone in particular in Gold League? I mean, I personally am looking at Lewis. I really hope that he makes it. But is there like someone in the Gold League that you really are looking and someone that you think is talented and you're expecting to see in the first?
Totally not opening Wikipedia now to see who is there.
All right.
I mean, I see Slam is doing pretty good, so it would be cool to see him get to the top again, especially now that he's with My Insanity. Vivi is doing good. I think Lucho is a guy that is up and coming, potentially scary. Prisma as well. Mihai. I mean, there's so many good. Kingston, who qualified for Garrison, is also in gold and like on a 2-2 score. Then obviously
crazy how that happens, right?
Yeah. That shows you have a good day or a good weekend. Everything can happen if you have a high ceiling, right? Kingston has been at a Red Bull event before as well, right? So he's not some random that just like suddenly got a good result. Otherwise, Lix, Kasba, Lewis. Always good to see Kasba do well as well, given his history, even going full-time in AOE4. That's cool. We didn't really talk about Platinum League standings, though. We only made fun about my situation and Doubt.
Feel free to talk about Doubt.
I've already made a lot of fun. Doubt is 0-0, 0 wins, 3 losses. I think his games against Liereyy got postponed, so they haven't played yet. But I mean, Doubt is actually in potential trouble, right?
The thing is, for the Platinum League, it's only 2 rounds, I think, right? So in the Gold League, things are a lot further ahead. So a lot can still change in the Platinum League.
Sense.
So
I just want to point out that Doubt is very fortunate that Sebastian 3-0'd Yo, which is also a crazy good result, by the way. I think Doubt, Margugo, and Yo are going to have, or Dragonstar even, are going to have a really hard fight for that 4th spot. We might have an upset in terms of who gets relegated this season.
Well, we usually have those, right? I'll never forget Vinchester winning.
Vinchester, right? Yeah, winning relegated next season.
Yeah, relegated. In any case, folks know they can follow Platinum League games on T90's Twitch. And I believe for the Gold League, a lot of people are also covering it. I think Danielle is covering it. I'm sure, the usual suspects are covering the whole thing. This was it for the first part. We're going to get our call ready with Gideon. So don't you go anywhere. We'll be right back. All right, everybody, we're back, and we're now joined by Gideon. He's the lead organizer for the Garrison, the next big LAN tournament that will take place from the 13th to the 16th of March. Gideon, thank you so much for taking the time to be here, and welcome to the Town Center.
Thank you so much for inviting me.
Absolutely. And man, I have to assume you've answered this question 1 million times, but you have to do it one more time for our audience, please. Who's who's Being Esports? That's the organization you're a part of. I don't know. Are you like the CEO of the organization? What exactly is your role in the organization? And what is the organization?
So let's first of all talk about Being Esports. Maybe in simple terms, Being Esports is an online and offline esports event management agency. We do all kinds of events for all kinds of different esports games, basically. And as I said, we do events both online and offline. Offline, obviously, not for such a long time because we founded the entire organization basically 2 or 3 months before COVID started. Oof. That was a great decision. So our first offline events took a couple of years before they actually could take place. But now we do both in games such as Age of Empires 2 now, but we also have a couple of other titles in our repertoire.
What was your first offline event?
Our first offline event was an event called the Arcadia Battlegrounds.
So PUBG was the first game you guys used.
Yes.
Yeah, I remember PUBG. Is it the Battle Royale? It's one of the first Battle Royales, isn't it?
Yeah, correct. Actually, we Being Esports came to be out of basically a PUBG community project. So when we originally started out doing this, both my colleague, who is the other CEO of Being Esports, and myself, we both had no idea that we would be working in esports, basically. This was fully a passion project because the ESL back in the day slowly but surely started not pursuing national esports events anymore. They wouldn't do national championships anymore, not only in Germany, but also in France and a lot of other countries. And we were, people in the PUBG scene, in the German-speaking PUBG scene back in the day. And the scene was still very, very healthy, even though the championship stopped taking place, or the ESL championship stopped taking place. We still had 120, 130 teams, so 4 players each. That is 600 players, let's say. And we thought that this scene deserved to still have a league. So we started doing that in our spare time, both having very normal, very boring jobs. My colleague wanted to be a teacher. I was working with luxury car brands on how they could sell more of their cars, basically.
Nice.
And this league quickly got so big that the publisher actually became aware of us and started funding slowly but surely more of our projects. And now we're doing all of the international things with them as well. And that's when we basically became a company from just a passion project.
Yeah, so how do you go from all of that to actually deciding to host an Age of Empires 2 event?
All right. If I ramble too much, please stop me.
Dude, it's a podcast. You're supposed to ramble. Perfect. You're supposed to ramble.
All right, so 2019, we start out with PUBG. We slowly but surely grow that thing into a community and into a business at the time. Obviously, a lot of stepping stones, a lot of hurdles that we had to overcome at the time. And once we had that structured enough and our team had grown enough, we decided that we wanted to do more. That's also when we found out that we slowly but surely could transition from our then still main jobs into basically working full-time for Being Esports as a company. And that's when we started to pick up new esports titles. And through doing that, and through our experiences with the games that worked really well, and our experiences with the game that did not work at all, we noticed that there's definitely our kind of people or our kind of community. And that community is, and I'm really trying to say this in the nicest way possible, a more mature 30 plus or like 25 plus, I would say, old group of people who usually have a game that has once in the lifetime or in the life cycle of the game lost a lot of the community, lost a lot of maybe even the publisher support, maybe even the publisher interest, and had to be rebuilt. And is still super niche, obviously, but still very alive and kicking. And that is usually the community that we work with the best, where we basically can actually offer something, where we have a group of people that are not in it for millions of prize money or with very high expectations of they are good on a tier 3 level, but they still want a salary and all of these kinds of things. That never really worked with us. I think also simply because we didn't have the budget, but also because we kind of mix really well with these super passionate niche games. We always only wanted to pick up games where we have super high knowledge, are super involved in the scene already, have played it tons. The last thing is correct. We have all played Age of Empires 2 a lot back in the day, but we weren't really super active in the scene anymore. And that's why we hadn't done this 2 years earlier, because 2022, this idea already came up as well. But we got to talk to Neely a couple of times through Neo, who is the head of Back to Warcraft, so the organization doing Warcraft 3 broadcasts in English language. And we've worked so much with Neo that he basically got us in contact with Neely, and then we spoke to him 2 or 3 times, and that's how this idea came up more and more.
Cool. So you just said that your business grew to the point where you guys wanted to start covering more and more games. If my questions are too nosy, please just say you don't want to answer, just to make it clear. But did it grow to a point where you guys are self-sustainable right now? So these events actually can justify your business?
The answer to that question sadly would be no, I think. Our business makes enough money so that we can pay ourselves the salary that we need to pay the rent. But the projects that we're making the money with are not necessarily these amazing offline and online events. Usually these are, as I mentioned, super niche. They rake in a couple thousand viewers, a couple hundred players. These communities are self-sufficient as long as they don't want insane amounts of prize money, but it's not something that we can make a huge plus with. Usually most of our projects are like plus minus zero. An online league will make €1,000 plus here. An offline event will lose like 1,000 or 2,000 euros there. And all of these projects are mostly to attract the things that we then do in the other half of our time that make the business enough money so that we can pay our salary. So that is when we educate companies on how they can use gaming and esports to acquire new employees or to sustain and make their current employees happy. Employer branding is a very big topic where they are hosting small gaming events for their employees. This is where we help companies with their Gamescom booths, where we manage those booths or are the speakers at their booths. This is where we do marketing campaigns with esports and gaming influencers. And also, more recently, we have done a couple of, I would say, launch event style things where publishers want to really push new competitive gaming titles, and they use us to be their first tournament organizer. This is also something that usually involves budget that is big enough so that something will remain once all of the work is done. But we are not really a company that does 5 esports titles and we can pay ourselves a salary through that. That's not possible in the ecosystem right now, I think.
Is like Age of Empires 2 is now your first. It's the first time you're doing Age of Empires 2.
Yes.
Are you entering now with the idea of we want to do more than just one event, or is it this is it? We're going to see how it goes, and then we'll evaluate afterwards.
We always enter a new scene with the clear goal to do more, usually both online and offline, because the first event usually is an investment. And it's always very sad to invest in something. So we expect this first, the Garrison event, to definitely cost some money. Probably the biggest investment that we've done to date, but exclusively because it's the biggest event that we've done to date with the biggest people, biggest casters, biggest reach. So it's gonna be an investment, and we usually hope that we do our job so well that the second, third, fourth, fifth one will basically make up for that investment.
Right.
And that's exactly what we've done with Warcraft, for example. It's been the exact same thing. The first one lost like 8,000 euros, I think, and then we did it again and again and again, and slowly but surely we managed it so that it can be self-sustainable.
Okay,
because
cool.
You said you used to have like a couple of thousand viewers. I mean, with Age of Empires 2, I guess in the grand scheme of things, we're still a niche game, but not really that niche, to be honest. I mean, we already had close to 100,000 viewers very recently with the Red Bull tournament. So also, not only from the perspective of viewership, but also from the perspective of having more people maybe on the arena. Do you expect this event to be the biggest one yet as well, in terms of how many people are going to be there at the LAN, for example?
Yes, it will be the biggest one in online viewership, as long as we don't fail drastically and the broadcast is never online or something. It will definitely be the biggest one yet. I think the highest viewership that we've had in an event so far was like 12 or 13,000 concurrent viewers. That's pretty easily probably going to be beaten with like 2 or 3 of the channels that we are going to be online on alone. In terms of on-site, yes, it's also going to be bigger. It's not going to be much bigger, but I think that is mostly due to the venue having a max audience that they can hold based on German regulations, which is really sad, by the way.
I heard you complaining about it.
Yeah, I hate it so much.
Famous German bureaucracy.
Yeah, I hate it so much. The room is so big, we could easily fit 100 people more, but it's simply just not possible.
And what is the reasoning for it? It's like safety? Like,
yeah,
I guess safety measures.
You need like from 200 and more people in a room. You need. I could be slightly wrong about this, but I read quite a bit about it. For more than 200 people in a room, it also is city by city. It can be different in Hamburg than to Munich, and so on and so forth. But from 200 people in a room in Hamburg, you need like an extra fireman and an extra like medic on site, and that is so expensive that it makes no sense to get them to pay to sell out another 100 tickets because basically you put all that money straight into these 2 people, and that's just a little weird. What makes it even more weird is that you can divide the room, and then you can have multiple instances of 200 people. So it's
that makes no sense.
Weird. Yeah.
Just put a wall in between, like plastic.
It's 2 different events.
Wall.
Yeah. So I was a little bit surprised, Gideon, because if you say that the whole streaming and broadcasting is part of the business, and of course you want to see it grow, I was surprised that you had no broadcasting for the qualifiers, no official broadcasting for the qualifiers. So you allowed everybody to broadcast the whole thing, but you yourselves did not broadcast it. Why not?
I think this is something that the scene received a little bit different than we anticipated it. We think we kind of had, to be honest. So what I mean by this is we are not planning to run the main broadcast with the main focus of our proprietary Twitch channel. That is not something that is going to happen at the Garrison as well. It is going to be online, mostly because we have to put a broadcast channel in certain places, such as the calendar of World's Edge and our Twitch socials and everything. And we don't want to have a situation where all of the individual broadcasters that we will have on site will be mad at us for putting them in a weird ranking or something. So we have one channel that we are promoting mostly, but the main idea, and we are doing this in every single title that we're doing where we haven't built a channel over time, is the broadcast is where the people are. So the broadcast is on T90's channel, on Mem's channel, on Dave's channel, on for Age of Empires 4, on Rising Empires, and on Xlash's channel. And for Germany, it's going to be on 2 other channels. So we don't actually want to build an audience on our Twitch channel.
Wow, okay.
Hundreds of different, I can go into detail if you want to, why we're not doing that. But the main idea is we want to be where the audience is. We think that is going to generate the maximum viewership. We think that is going to generate the maximum enjoyment for the community because they don't have to look around for the broadcast. They don't have to follow a channel where there will be no Age of Empires content for months after that. So we thought it made much more sense, and we're doing this in Warcraft and TF2 and basically everything but PUBG and Dota because we have really strong channels there, simply because it made more sense to us.
I mean, that goes hand in hand with the way AoE2 community events usually are run, right? Most tournaments we have are open streaming for everyone, and people can watch who they prefer, essentially. But only like Red Bull is the main channel where like most of viewers go to the Red Bull channel. And I think Game Legion as well had the most viewers there, but otherwise, like most events are hosted by individual Twitch streamers. And therefore, it's open streaming and everyone can just go and watch whoever they prefer. And I mean, this is going to go hand in hand with that kind of philosophy that the AoE2 scene kind of has already.
Just to make sure that there's no wrong expectation for the Garrison main event, it is going to be a main broadcast. So what we will do is we
have
will
a
generate
feed. You have a main feed that is being generated from you guys. Okay.
Exactly. Really, like, I hope it will be perceived as very professional, on site, on stage, in a studio, in a little glass cube above the audience where cameras are going to
cool,
So it's going to be really nice. And that is going to be mirrored on the channels of all of these individual people, apart from, of course, the German broadcast and French and Spanish, where they have to just use the clean feed and put their own voices onto it. But on all the English channels, they will display our main broadcast with a slight variation every now and then, where we want to make it possible for the main casters on site to turn this into a watch party as long as they are not on stage. So basically, let's say T90 walks off stage, knows he's not going to be on stage for the next 3 hours, then he technically can, if he doesn't want to rest a bit, go to a PC that we prepared for him, click a button and switch from the clean feed to his broadcast assets and everything to then basically do a watch party so that his fans can also expect to have a little bit of interaction with him apart from the main broadcast.
That's sick. I mean, that's the mirroring the feed has been how Red Bull and Game Edition did it as well, right? But is that an option that is also available to players?
Yes, definitely.
I'm just imagining, like, if I'm done with a set, it
again,
went well,
in case you don't understand why he's asking this. Yeah, in case you don't understand, he wants to take advantage of this.
No, it's definitely possible. We actually have like 2 or 3 services that we will offer to all of the players, given that Age of Empires 2 is obviously a game where it's weird. It's very different to many of the other esports games.
In what way?
In the way that the broadcasters, especially like the 3 or 4 main broadcasters, have a lot of power because they have their own channels that are basically needed to create a successful event.
Absolutely.
And the players as well, right? So many of the players are also quite big influencers. So we want to support that as good as we can. And yes, of course, Viper will have a computer on site. It will, however, be in a room with either some or all of the other pros. So it's going to be a little bit like... it's going to be family style.
Even better, more interaction, even better. Yeah.
But yes, you can. The internet is more than strong enough, and we have the tech capabilities to give you that. And also, if you want, we will be able to provide you with, I think the plan is to immediately provide all of your games to you in a cut fashion for you to upload to your channel. And sick. There are a couple of other things that we want to send your way right away.
Wow. That sounds cool. It looks sick, right? Gideon sent me a picture as well the other day where he was on site, and it looks like the venue is going to be sick as well. So,
yeah, the pictures look amazing. The pictures look really amazing. So you already touched on something that I like to discuss as well, which is you're talking about the content creators and how important they are for the success of a tournament. And you said before, just a couple of minutes ago, that you guys have played Age of Empires 2, but you didn't really follow really closely the scene before or anything like that. So I wonder, how was the decision made who exactly to invite for the tournament? Because I'll notice that the people who have been invited to cast and analyze and all that are the same folks that were at Red Bull. So did you just go like, okay, we're not too familiar with the scene, so let's just see who Red Bull got, because, they're the biggest organizers in the moment, and we're just going to try to get the same people? Or was there any other consideration there?
So one thing where I have to be completely honest about here is that we had to do a lot of learning basically in order to make this happen, and a lot of that learning came after the announcement of the event. A lot obviously came before it, but a lot also came after it. Mm-hmm. And we kind of obviously first got in touch with all of the people who are the first ones that you get to know when you research and when you talk to people and when you ask people who should broadcast this event. Obviously the same, 3 to 4 names come up again and again and again. Mm-hmm. And also when it comes to interesting players that you might want to invite, obviously also we already knew all of these people. I've watched all of the NACs actually, both from a private and also from a sponsorship side, because I worked with a brand that once sponsored one NAC. Nice, cool. Obviously I knew most of these names, and that's
Did you like it? Did you like the tournament?
Which one?
NAC.
The most recent one, or all of the ones before that? All of them, actually.
You've watched the one before too. I assumed you were talking about the most recent one.
No. I've watched the actual Neely's Apartment Cups.
All right, so that's the actual NAC. Fair enough. Exactly. Fair enough. Yeah.
so we, for example, worked with a brand named Lead Desk, who will be making a return to the Age of Empires scene. As I
just ordered one a month ago.
Nice. I'm sitting on one right now.
Very, very nice.
Man, I could have made a deal with you. Maybe not too
late.
Yeah,
you probably could have. Maybe somebody else will have that fortune. But yeah, so they sponsored NAC 4 or 5. I'm not sure which one it was anymore. Right. But so I watched that entire one, obviously, because we were doing some social media stuff for them. And so we've actually watched a couple of tournaments. Nice. I've played a couple of German community 1v1 and 2v2 tournaments in 2021 and 22. I was super bad, but it was a lot of fun. So we've been in the scene on a very entry level for a while. Mm-hmm. And to get back to your question, actually, the main decision, obviously, so I can attack this from so many different angles. Number one is budget. We can only bring so many people to the event. And that is actually a really, really difficult path that you have to take, and really difficult decisions, because we usually like to work with a mix of really well-seasoned casters and to also bring in some new, because we like to always make sure that our first event in the scene, especially our first offline event, is very clearly identifiable as different to what has already happened.
Right.
And we have a couple of ideas what we're going to do. I can talk about that later if you want. But one way is obviously to bring in new talent, to bring in a new format, to bring in new players maybe even. And we have done that in all of our other games. For this one, it so quickly became evident that in order to get the word out, in order to have proper marketing for the event, we would need these main casters. And then we made a couple of plannings, like which caster pairings could work for which game and for which set. And we quickly noticed, okay, we need 4 to 5. And when we already have 4 of the main ones, it doesn't make like too much sense to get 4 other ones in, sadly.
Right.
But we will have maybe a little bit of a surprise. I don't think I can announce him yet because he didn't tell me whether he could come or not. But there's going to be maybe an extra person.
You said he, so it's a man.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Nile is going to be there on World's Edge behalf, right? But is he also going to do some casting for Being Esports? Okay,
yes.
Cool.
He's also going to jump on the cast. We will have Jordan, at least right now, planned to also cast 1 or 2 sets while mainly focusing on analysis. Yeah. And we're going to be half structured, half flexible. We're going to make sure that every caster will have at least 1 set a day. And then on top of that, if a pro wants to jump in, if somebody that is going to be there wants to jump in that is used to casting, we will get them in as well. But we will mostly work with a clear plan who's going to cast what game.
Speaking of Jordan, he is obviously historically has been one of the best players for many, many years. He has recently kind of retired. So there has been some question marks regarding why a retired guy is invited to join as an analyst. He was the same for Red Bull, right? Surprised out of nowhere, suddenly Jordan is going to be an analyst. And then the question for many people is, I mean, look, I love Jordan. He's one of my best friends in real life, so I don't want to criticize him. He's going to be he's going to do an amazing job, right? But there will be people questioning, why is he invited over someone that is currently invested in the scene?
Couple of different reasons here. Some are boring, some are maybe interesting. So we watched what he did at Red Bull, and we really liked it, and it was quite enjoyable. So we immediately thought, could we get him on? And then that was one of the more interesting ones. There was like a clear motivation behind getting him in. However, there are also a couple of other thoughts, because when you plan this event, you want to immediately have it be like the best of the best of the best of the best.
Right.
And then you look at the budget and you're like, okay, we cannot do this, we cannot do this, we cannot do this, and we cannot do this. And inviting someone who is really, really good at what he does and has a lot of knowledge, and we needed someone for analysis and a deeper dive into why something worked or did not work. Inviting someone who only lives a couple 100 kilometers away and come by train is so much more possible, sadly, than flying someone in who's going to take 2 or 3 times the budget. So a couple of I also don't want to talk down on him now, because that will sound as if he was not the best option.
Right.
He was like a thought in the community that people think those thoughts, right?
Yeah, he was an amazing option while also being affordable enough so that we could get another person in, and that's why we chose Jordan.
In my opinion, it makes complete sense, right? But it's also that, like, I do have understanding for the people that would rather see people that are still so heavily involved, like Jordan currently is not, right? But Jordan, like, people don't realize Jordan still follows the scene. Like, after every Doubt loss, he's in Discord and like laughing at Doubt. So like, he's still very much involved and watches the games and keeps up with the scene.
That's good to know. I didn't know that. That's
despite not streaming actively or like being everywhere on social media, this and that, he's still watching and keeping an eye on the game. So people don't have to worry about him losing touch.
By the way, I'm very thankful you asked the question, because otherwise people would, accuse me of being obsessed with the whole thing.
I gotta take some.
Yeah, it's your turn. It's your turn. Yeah. All right, Gideon, listen up. Before I even knew that Gamer Legion was in contact with you to be here in the podcast, I was already chatting with you a little bit, because I wanted to report on the whole thing, and I was amazed at how transparent you were with the whole thing. You told me so many things that I'm not used to hearing from people organizing tournaments. So again, I'm gonna reproduce some of those things. If that's too much for you, you'll let me know. I'll remove it. But you told me in a message that you're expecting the whole event to cost around $80,000. That's what you told me. As things stand today, do you expect to break even at the end of the tournament? Is that still a dream? What are your expectations right now?
So you said this is a podcast. I can ramble. Can I also slightly cuss, like super slightly?
Absolutely. I've done lots of it in the first
Not
part.
even slightly. You can go ahead if you want.
All right.
You just have
One
to add some
thing
beeps.
that we suck at insanely, sadly, is networking. Finding the right people at companies to talk to simply get sponsorship money for our events. It is something that we've historically sucked at and that we sadly, for some reason, still are not really great at. We will generate a reach with this event that is pretty significant. We do a lot of events where we simply cannot get anything else than like hardware sponsorship or maybe a little bit of monetary budget here and there. But this is a reach. I mean, otherwise Red Bull wouldn't do an event, right? So this is something where it would make sense to market this event or to market a product or a service of a big company to this audience if it makes sense, if it's a good fit, if it's within the sponsorship obligations that obviously World's Edge brings. There's same ones as every other esports title. You cannot market certain products, which we really enjoy that it's not possible. So we are really bad at that. And while we have a huge expected audience, it's sadly been really difficult to find sponsors for this event. That is probably going to be the reason why we are not going to break even. The event, I think I also laid this out to you in text already. The tickets and the expected, I would say, merch and drinks and food sales at the venue are probably going to amount to 75% of the total spendings of the event. And usually we would have to fill this whole of the other 25% with some sponsorship money. And then ideally you want to also make 10% extra, right? Because you want to invest that into future projects or to have some security for the future. But yeah, we're probably going to lose like 20% or 15% of this entire budget, at least as of right now. We have been lucky to have some people help with getting in touch with brands, but it's also getting quite late. We have like 45 days before the event is going to take place. It's very difficult to find sponsors in that short of a time frame. We're going to have one or two. That's amazing. But we would obviously, like, the one thing that I hoped, and Red Bull, I love you. Please don't be mad at me. I hope for like Monster Energy to jump on this and be like, okay, we're going to stick into them.
Why not Red Bull?
Yeah, we would have loved Red Bull as well, right? But they probably think that they've already enough of a standing in the AOE scene, I assume, and they have this huge castle and all of that stuff. But I hope for like another like Rockstar Energy, Monster Energy, whoever it is to just jump on this and be like, okay, we're in the scene as well now. We would have loved for that to happen. It can still happen, but yeah, that would have been amazing.
First of all, thanks a lot for the transparency. That's really cool to hear.
Yeah,
all the behind the
Thank you
things.
so much. Yeah.
Can I say one thing on that? I'm sorry. I know I'm talking a lot, but
that's why you're here.
You're supposed. You're supposed to. We want to hear from you.
I hear this for like the third or fourth time in a similar setting now. And it's very funny because this has always kind of been the way that we handled things. And so far it has not bitten us to be this transparent, because I think it's something that the AOE scene will not be. Maybe you can tell me. I'm not sure if this is something that the AOE scene will naturally understand, but so many of the other scenes that we're working in will naturally understand this. We are working in so many different esports titles that have one thing in common, and that is they used to once have, for 2, 3, 4, 5 years, a super healthy, in very big quotation marks, esports scene where esports players would get monthly salaries, prize money was super big, viewership was really high, and then all of that crumbled in a very, very, very quick time between 2020 and 2023 or something, where only the tier 1 scenes of that esports titles are now still that healthy. And all of these scenes, therefore, had such a huge misconception regarding how much budget, number one, tournament organizers actually have when they have no venture capital or no sponsors.
Right.
And number two, how much work and budget it actually takes to run esports events. Many of them actually thought, all right, it's super easy to do. They are all swimming in cash. So why don't I get my Ferrari, basically? And we have been so transparent from the get-go because we needed to educate all of these people how much work it actually is. And number two, that it was super important for them to help us along the way, because otherwise this could have never worked. If we wouldn't have super passionate people from all of the communities that we're working with, AOE 2, AOE 4, AOM included, immediately one or two people from each of these communities approached us and asked if they could help somehow or give some input. It would not be possible. And I think us being this transparent made these people to actually want to contribute. Because if they would think, all right, they're going to make $1 million with this, but I'm not getting anything, they probably wouldn't want to help.
Yeah.
I think that makes a lot of sense, and I think it also brings a lot of goodwill from the communities that you are so transparent and open about it. And if you put on a good show as well, which hopefully you will, then I'm sure the community will also be behind. But that's like what I'm curious about when you're reaching out to sponsors. Do sponsors realize that the audience is a mature audience? That people, we are adults, we can afford to buy
income.
We can buy your products, we can support it. Like we're not like Fortnite viewers where it's like 12-year-olds.
12-year-olds can't spend money on anything.
Or mom and dad's allowance money.
Exactly.
There is apparently, this is anecdotal evidence and my personal perspective, not something that I could provide a lot of data on. I think there's a lot of scorched earth when it comes to esports events. I think there were like marketing agencies and TOs who for a rather long time were successful in promising everything and delivering nothing, which is why so many of the sponsors who could be super interesting, we've done a collaboration with a brand named Kuchenmeister. They do koala-shaped cookies with chocolate and milk inside it. I'm not sure if one of you is aware of these ones. Really famous in Germany. Every young person knows them. And we had a marketing campaign as part of one of our Warcraft events with them, where the broadcast talents and people in the audience would throw these cookies into mouths of each other for points. And that alone did get them into the main newspaper for food and snacks in Germany.
Crazy.
On a double page, which had a marketing value of 10 times what they gave us. And that is besides everything that we've done, right? That is like an extra add-on. So there's a lot of value in this, but I think a lot of these companies are scared to jump into esports right now, and it will take some rebuilding. And also, a lot of this is simply, in Germany we say vitamin B. I'm not sure if this is also something that works in English. It's like a friendly basis. A lot of these is, you know, someone and you're like, smartphone out, couple of digits, and they're like, hey, Peter, would you like to sponsor this event? I promise it's really cool. And then you have, I don't know, 25,000 euros, while we're sending 200 emails, trying to get to people on conventions and LinkedIn and everything, and we're just not even getting responses. So, But we're trying to attack that angle, definitely. That
can we expect koala bear chocolate during the Garrison?
I wouldn't want to push them in front of the bus, but I hope that they will be part of an AOE event in the future.
Nice, that's good to know. That's also too.
I want to ask, like, are there still tickets available?
Yes, not that many anymore. Actually, the viewership tickets. I think we have 15 more seats free.
Guys, 15 seats.
Yeah, in the main venue. We're currently trying to somehow get another 30 in. There is an option. That option would entirely destroy our broadcast. No. We have these 2 glass cubes behind the stage. One of them is going to be the VIP area where we are upselling a couple of extra experiences and free snacks and free beer and all of that stuff. And there's a second one. And where that second one was actually planned to be where the broadcast is. And we are right now thinking whether we can take that broadcast out, put it directly on stage, which would be a lot more complicated, but maybe even nicer. And then that would free up another 30 seats. But we're waiting right now to see whether these 15 tickets will sell out. And if they sell out, we will then see whether that is an option or not.
And where do people find these tickets?
It is on our event shop page. It's a service named Eventbrite, and they can find it.
I'll link it below for sure. Yeah, I'll link it below for sure.
Check the description of the video, guys. You will find it.
Yeah, and feel free to tune in for the tournament. Absolutely. And Gideon, again, thank you so very much for taking the time. It was awesome to learn more about this whole process, how it all works, and it's great to know that people who love esports, as you and your colleagues very clearly do, are involved in these tournaments. So thank you so much for taking the time, Gideon.
Thank you,
very
both
much.
of you. Thank you so much.
All right, guys, if you enjoyed the podcast, you know what you have to do. Like, comment, subscribe, all those things. And we'll be back in roughly 2 weeks. See you next time.